Welcome to the Introductions to Plans reading, presented by Project Solutions, your North Dakota disadvantaged business enterprises point of contact.
During this training, we will focus on the basics of North Dakota plans, how to read them, and where to find pertinent information. The main topics that will be discussed are where to find North Dakota plans to bid on, understanding the cover sheet and its importance, where to find abbreviations and notes, understanding distance measurements, where to find and how to read safety signage, and finally, contract documents. To find North Dakota Department of Transportation projects to bid on, go to dot.nd.gov. To get to the North Dakota Department of Transportation Plans and Proposals page, you need to select the Business drop-down menu, and then select Plans and Proposals. This link will take you to the North Dakota DOT's Plans and Proposals page. To go directly to Plans and Proposals for current and past projects, click on the View Plans and Proposals link. On the North Dakota Department of Transportation Plans and Proposals page, you will find the plans and RFPs for all current and past projects. The projects are displayed by bid opening date. There is a drop-down menu where you can select the bid opening date. If you select the bid opening date drop-down menu, you can see all available bid opening dates. If you select a new bid opening date, the proposal packages will update automatically. Once you have selected the bid opening date, you will find all the jobs and proposal packages that have been released to the public and any supplemental information. The proposal packages may contain, but are not limited to, the request for proposal, plans, drawings, and specifications. Also on the same page, you will find a link to the plan holders list and a link to add your own firm to the plan holders list if you are interested in the project. If you click the link to see who the current plan holders are, it will take you to the plan holders list, where you can find contractors and suppliers that have been listed as plan holders for all the jobs in the bid letting. If you are interested in working with any of the contractors or suppliers in this date's bid openings, their name and phone number have been provided. Take special note of the asterisk, which indicates a disadvantaged business enterprise. On dates with multiple bids open, the plans holder list will show all the plan holders for all the projects in the date of bid opening. At the top of the sheet are the job numbers. Also take note of the DBE asterisk next to names. There is also a specific plan holders list for each individual job. On the Plans and Proposals page, click on the Plan Holders link under the job information. The link will take you to a list of plan holders on that job only. Here we can see a list of plan holders for job number 4 from May 14th, 2021. Take a special note on the contact information. Here you will find the actual point of contact with phone numbers and emails. And let's not forget, look for the asterisks denoting a DBE contractor or supplier. Under the main plan holders list for the bid letting date, you can select the Add Company /name to Plan Holders List, and you'll be brought to this page where you can input your firm's information. If you are a DBE, make sure to select the company is a registered disadvantaged business enterprise with the North Dakota DOT box. Also, make sure you check the project box that you are interested in working on at the bottom of the page. Back on the Plans and Proposals page, let's download and check out the RFP. Find the Request for Proposal PDF file and select it. This should initiate a download, allowing you to view the file. Once downloaded, open up the PDF to review the RFP. On the cover sheet, you will find pertinent project information. At the top, you will find the project number, which will correspond to other documents that you'll need to review. In this example, we can see that the job number is number 2 and the state and federal aid project number SS-2-99047 PCN-21389. In the middle of the page, You will find the project name and location or locations and some information on what the project is. On the cover, you also find which county the project is located in and other pertinent information. In this case, the cover sheet indicates that this project has DBE race neutral goal of 0%. And last, but definitely not least, you will find the proposal due date and time. Keep in mind that the due date on the cover is the date the proposal has to be in the North Dakota DOT's hand. Inside many RFPs from North Dakota DOT, you will find a bid items sheet. On the sheet, you will find a description, list of items to bid on, the unit of measurement and quantity needed from the DOT's estimate. When responding to the RFP, you will need to fill in the unit cost and total cost for each bid item. Make sure you total your bid in the total sum bid column. On the contract period page of the RFP, you will find information regarding when the project should be finished and how long the project should take to complete. In the RFP, you will find the special provisions associated with the project. Make sure to check special provisions, as the provisions may impact your cost to perform the scope of work identified in this RFP. Keep in mind, the special provisions are not the same on every project, but may be found on other projects. The Dbe Special Provision provides important information regarding the North Dakota DOT's bid process for Dbe subcontractors and deadlines for submitting quotes to primes. You should familiarize yourself with this document and its compliance requirements for Dbe participation. Please note that any Dbe subcontractor quoting to prime on a project with a Dbe goal are required to also submit their quotes or list of quotes to subquotes@nd.gov. You will find the required provisions in the RFP. The required provisions will be found in most, if not all, RFPs from North Dakota DOT. The provisions are required to be followed on all federal aid construction contracts. The provisions include non-discrimination provisions, Davis-Bacon Act, work hours, safety standards, etc., and need to be understood and taken into consideration prior to bidding. The RFP will have the required labor rates from the U.S. Department of Labor for the area. Make sure you take the cost of prevailing wage labor into consideration prior to bidding on the project. Back on the plans and proposals page, let's download and check out the plans provided. Find the final plans PDF file and select it. This should initiate a download, allowing you to view the file. Once downloaded, open up the PDF to view the plans.
Here's an example of a typical cover sheet for the North Dakota Department of Transportation. This page was designed and set up so you as the contractor can quickly and easily get necessary information about a project. Let's examine the various parts of this cover sheet and see how the information we gather is important. The job description is located in the top middle of the sheet. You can see that it has a job number that is associated with the project. It lists who the project is for, and in this case it is for the North Dakota Department of Transportation. Below is a brief description of what the job will be. Here, a rest area in Medina will have improvements done. In addition to the job number and the name, we are given the location description. The section, township, range, and approximate location to the reference point all ensure the work is done in the correct area. Later in the presentation, we will discuss what a section, township, and range mean. The last bit of information and a description of the type of work being requested. The project will have ADA improvements, curb, gutter, signage, sidewalk, striping, and STS upgrades. Moving to the top right of the cover sheet, we come to the governing specification. This informs us what standards have been adopted by the North Dakota Department of Transportation and what will be expected of us. Included with this section is a project number. This number can be used to look up the project on the North Dakota website. Notice that the number is also in the job description section. Lastly, the net and gross miles that is associated with the project is listed. In this example, the rest area has the same net and gross miles. Just above the governing specifications is the title block. This block is on every page of the plan section pages. It allows for an individual to look at any sheet and know what project it is for. Looking from left to right, we see that this project is in the state of North Dakota. The project number that can be used to find the project is listed next, and perhaps the most important thing is the section and sheet numbers. These numbers allow for quick reference to the table of contents. As you start working with many plans, you will find that the layouts are the same from one project to another. For example, I know I can turn to section 100 and it will be a map of the required safety signs. The cover sheet is in the Plans section and is labeled Section 1, Sheet 1. To the left of the job description is the design data. Here we get information concerning the traffic flow estimated for current and forecasted years. Also, information concerning minimum sight distance for stopping, number of bridges, design speed, and expected pavement life can be found here. If we direct our attention to the bottom right-hand corner of the cover sheet, we will find the certification section. Before any project can move forward, it must have the proper signatures. This section will have an engineer's signature as well as the date they approve the plans. While the right-hand side of the cover sheet shows you the engineer involved, the left-hand side shows you the designers involved. Notice that directly above the designers is a compass indicating the direction north, which will reference the upcoming maps. The cover sheet provides two different maps. The first map shown in the blue outline is a state map showing all the counties in the state. Notice all the counties are white except for one. In this case, Stutzman has a diagonal line through it indicating the county this project is to take place in. The second map, surrounded in a yellow line, is a more detailed map in which township lines can be seen along with major roads, railroads, and cities. The purpose of this map is to give an overview of the location in reference to the county and the state. Now remember all the information we have gathered from the cover sheet. We now know the job number, project number, approval engineer, design data, map locations, township location, project description, and governing specifications, all before turning the first page. After the cover sheet is the table of contents, labeled Section 2, Page 1. This section allows us to quickly find information and is located in the plans. Don't underestimate the importance of this sheet. It can save you time in two ways. First, you can reference the location on any document you may want to see. Second, we can see what documents are included in the plan by the list of table of contents. If it is not on the list or a page is missing, then you know to contact the project handler for clarification. Abbreviations are used in an effort to keep plans neat and organized. Abbreviations reduce the amount of clutter on any plan sheet and allow for a cleaner, more precise drawing to be made. For example, instead of having to write in cattle guard on a plan sheet, it can be referenced with the abbreviation. Shown here next to the green arrow is CGD, indicating cattle guard. Using 3 letters instead of having to spell out 2 words multiple times helps to keep plans clean. Finally, notice the number in the upper right-hand corner. This is the page number used to reference this sheet. If we refer to the table of contents, we can see that the North Dakota Department of Transportation abbreviations are listed in the list of standard drawings. The number refers to its location. Here we can see that there are 3 pages of abbreviations labeled D101-1, D101-2, and D101-3. Sheet D101-10 has the list of utility companies in North Dakota and their abbreviations for each company. A sheet can show multiple utility lines running through a work zone. In an effort to maintain plans that are easy to read, utility companies have abbreviations assigned to them. In addition to abbreviations, line styles are also used to reference items on plans. Lines are often used to represent different fence types, road types, and utility types. This eliminates the need for labeling of a line, since the line itself can be used to deliver the information. However, we can run into an issue here. Take a look at the line style for fence and silt fence. Notice how they both have the same line style. The reason for this is that plans are not printed in color, so make sure to get clarification or make a site visit to ensure that required work is completed accurately. Section 6 of the plans will contain notes about the project. Notes provide additional information about what is expected on a project. Let us take a look at the note labeled 105-110, pavement sweeping. It states that pavements are to be swept before being reopened to the public and that all sweeping on new construction must be completed 24 hours prior to final inspection. It is important to refer to the notes to know what is expected and to make sure you are bidding correctly for these expectations. Section 4 in the plans is the scope of work. It is an overview map of the location. With this map, we can see where work is to be performed. This is also a good example of the importance abbreviations can have. Think about how difficult this plan would be to read if we didn't use different line styles or abbreviations. Let us move on to Township and Range. This is a system of land management adopted by the United States Bureau of Land Management. Before the rectangular system we use today, the United States used a method called meets and bounds. In meets and bounds system, people would refer geological and non-geological places to describe plots of land. This system can pose a problem when a reference tree was cut down, a rock pile was moved, or a river was diverted. As the country grew, a new land management system was developed called the rectangular system. In the rectangular system, a baseline and the horizontal and vertical axes were established, and then every plot of land is referenced to those baselines. For example, North Dakota is in the 5th principal meridian as shown in green. Meridians don't always follow state lines, as you can see in South Dakota and Minnesota, even though parts of those states are also in the 5th principal meridian. Shown in the blue circle is the vertical line called the 5th principal meridian, or referred to as the meridian. It is located on the east side of Missouri and Arkansas. The horizontal baseline is usually referred to as the baseline and crosses the 5th principal meridian in Arkansas. It is from here that all North Dakota plots are referenced to. Land is broken into areas called townships. One length north or south of the baseline is called the township line and are spaced 6 miles apart. One length running east or west of the meridian is called a range line and is also separated by 6 miles from each other. So a township is a square with 6 mile sides, giving a 36 square mile area. In the example below, you can see several townships in reference to the baseline and the meridian. As we move north or south of the baseline, the T, which stands for township line, or just township, increases in number. In addition to the number, it also tells us if it is north, represented by the N, or south, represented by the S, after the number. For example, T2N means it is township 2 north of the baseline. Looking at the range, we see that ranges increase in number the further they go from the meridian line. Again, they tell us if they are west or east of the meridian by using a capital W or E respectively. Let's try an example. What does T2N R1E tell us, and how far is the southwest corner of the township from the baseline? And then, how far is the same corner from the meridian? Well, T2N R1E tells us that this is the second township north of the baseline in the 5th principal meridian and the first township east of the meridian. The southwest corner of the township is 6 miles north of the baseline and 0 miles east of the meridian. Taking a closer look at the township, you can see it has 36 sections. Each section is 1 mile by 1 mile and consists of 640 acres. Now let's reference why this might be important to us. Referring back to the cover sheet, we have our maps. Notice in the more detailed map we can see 4 township range descriptions. T139 North, R69 West is telling us that the location of this project is in township with township line 139 north of the baseline and a range of 69 west of the meridian.
In the construction industry, you will find several units of measurement. Most common is the U.S. Customary System, aka English or Standard. It uses inches, feet, yards, miles, and acres for most measurements. There are 12 inches in a foot, 3 feet in a yard, 5,280 feet in a mile, and 43,560 square feet in an acre. Surveyors use a different version of English that omits the inch and instead uses tenths and hundredths of a foot. There are 10 tenths and 100 one-hundredths in a foot. Therefore, 1.5 feet equals 1 foot 6 inches, and 1.5125 feet equals 1 foot 6 1/8 inch. These types of units are most commonly found on civil drawings like road and water projects. Occasionally, metric units may be used. 1 meter is the equivalent of 1.09361 yards. Be aware of the units in use on the project you are bidding on. Understand scales and how they are being used. There are two different types of scale to be aware of: architectural and engineer scales. Construction drawings will indicate the scale on the same sheet as the drawing you are looking at. Architectural scales are normally based on fractions of an inch, so 1/16 inch, 1/8 inch, 3/16 inch, quarter inch, etc. Mechanical engineers normally use the same type of scale. Engineer scales use inch decimal units rather than units based on fractions of an inch. The scales will read, as an example, 1 in 10, which translates to 1/10 of an inch equals 1 foot. You'll find scales of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60 parts per inch. Know the scale that you are using when doing takeoffs from plan sheets. For example, in an architectural or mechanical drawing, a 1/4 inch scale indicates that every 1/4 inch is the equivalent of 1 foot. A good set of 6-sided architectural and engineering scale rules will have most of the standard scales on them for manual takeoff. Also, make sure your plans, if printed, are printed in the correct size, or your scale will not be accurate.
Measuring distances can also be a little tricky. The North Dakota Department of Transportation uses a system of measurement called stationing, abbreviated by STA. It is used to measure distances where one station equals 100 feet. Surveyors read distance in a decimal point system. A typical station reading will have numbers followed by a plus symbol with more numbers. The numbers following the plus symbol will be less than 100. Here's why. The number before the plus are complete stations. Numbers after the plus symbol are increments of a station, so those numbers are out of 100 feet. Finally, any number following the increments will be in a decimal point of a foot. Let's look at one example. We are given that STA 23 plus 47. What this tells us is that the distance we have 23 complete stations and 47 feet of a station. So with 23 complete stations, we have 23 times 100 feet. In addition to the 2,300 feet, we also have 47 feet of a station. So a station of 23 plus 47 is a distance of 2,347 feet. Take a few seconds and see if you can solve the next example on your own. Remember, surveyors use a decimal point system and not fractions, so 0.25 will be 3 inches. Did you come up with 12,512.5 feet? If so, excellent job. Let's take a look at the next example. Here we have a horizontal line called the center line. Each tick mark represents one station and is labeled every 5 stations. Station labeling does not have to lie on a whole station. In this example, the stations have 51 feet, 3 inches attached to each label, as seen by the plus 51.25. If we stood the center line up, then we would get a left and right side of the center line. We can use this to help describe a point. Let's take the first point. It is above the center line, which means it is to the left of the center line. If we count the ticks, we see we are further than 1 tick from station 130 plus 51.25 and not quite 2 ticks away. We are told that this point is station 132 plus 05.75 on the center line. The LT60 means that it is 60 feet left of the center line. Looking at the other point, we see it is right of the center line, about half the distance away, so I would expect it to be 30 feet, and as stated by the RT30, is half the distance from the center line as the other point. This next slide was taken from the same plans we have been reviewing so far. Looking at the pavement, it begins at station 8 plus 50, 30 left, and ends at station 11 plus 41, 13 left. This tells us to begin and continue to obliterate pavement markings for 291 feet starting at station 8+50. This is an example of a highway project. We can see that the stations also have an RP next to them. This is called a reference point, and in many cases it refers to a mile marker. There are several views the plans will display when providing data maps. These types of views are Profile, Plan, and Section View. Plan View shows us the project from a bird's eye. This view will show a lot of the project details around the surrounding area and the project itself. Below the Plan View is the Profile View. This is like looking at a truck from the link side. This view gives you the contour of the land as it travels across the project. These two views are usually on the same sheet, and in this case, they are on Section 60, Sheet 1. Lastly, we have section views. This view is the cross-cut and would be like looking at the rear of a truck. Here we can see the slope of the road and of the land at different stations. It is not uncommon to have multiple section views, each at different stations, so we can get a sense of the overall plan. The last section of this video is on safety signage. Safety signs can be found around work zones all over North Dakota. A work zone is any area in which normal traffic flow becomes intermingled with a person doing their job. Safety and its signage is very important and has its own section in every North Dakota plan. Information concerning safety signs can be found in 4 places. There is a manual on uniform traffic control devices, which is available through the United States Federal Highway Administration. North Dakota DOT Standard Drawings and Plan Sheet provides more project-specific information on safety signs. Traffic control requirements for North Dakota DOT operations on highway and street can be found online, and there is a North Dakota flagging handbook related to road flaggers. Information about safety signs can also be found online through the North Dakota Safety Council website.
Recall that one of the places we can find information about safety signs is in the plans from North Dakota DOT. You can always turn to Section 100 of a North Dakota plan and find the required safety sign layout. This layout has been approved by a traffic engineer and it will help to ensure a safer work environment. Take note that the signs include speed limits, warning signs, roadwork distance signs, and even end of roadwork signs. The manuals and handbooks that are available describe everything from the distance signs need to be apart to the type of lettering and coloring they have to display. Here's an example from the plan sheet number D704-13 that describes the types of barriers allowed. You can see that this sheet explains sizes, shapes, colors, and types of safety signs. It is important that not only the correct sign be used, but that the correct use of the sign is employed. Contract plans describes in detail the work involved and the process. Bidder's proposal, along with the plans, gives the contractor the necessary information to submit a bid for the project. After the bidding process has established a low bidder, a contract is issued. Standard specifications. The book of North Dakota Standard Specification for Road and Bridge Construction sets forth the directions, provisions, and requirements that apply to all contractors on all projects. The specifications include legal requirements for bidding and work performance, construction requirements, specifications for materials and material testing criteria, method of measurement, and basis of payment. Supplemental specifications. When it is necessary to change standard specifications, supplemental specifications are written and included in the contract documents. They remain in effect until a new standard specification book is issued, usually every 5 to 6 years. Special provisions. When unusual conditions are found during the design process of special material or equipment is needed, special provisions are written to apply to that project only. These provisions supersede both standard specifications and supplemental specifications if there is a conflict in meaning. The standard specifications, supplemental specifications, plans, special provisions, and all supplementary documents are essential parts of the contract, and a requirement occurring in one is as binding as though occurring in all. When there are discrepancies between contract plans and the various sources of specifications, special provisions are the highest level of authority. Contract plans are the next highest authority, followed in order by supplemental specifications and the lowest of the last authority is the standard specification. This concludes the training on Introduction to Plans Reading. We covered where to find plans and plan holders lists, how to read and interpret plans, how to find pertinent information, and the contract documents. If you have any questions regarding the information presented, please contact the PSI's DBE Project Coordinator, Dbe Johnson, at 701-214-5775, or send us an email at the address provided.